medieval peasant working sun up to sundown, buried half his children and lived through famine, should have been more stressed than you. He wasn't, and the reason has nothing to do with how hard his life was. We measure stress like it's about circumstances. Harder life, more stress, more danger, more stress. Less comfort, more stress. It seems obvious, but medieval daily life was violent, uncertain, and short. Disease could take a child overnight. A bad harvest could mean starvation by winter. There was no medicine that actually worked. Most of the time, no safety net. No guarantee you'd live past 40. By every measure we use today to talk about stress, that life should have broken people. Faster than ours does it didn't, and it wasn't because they were tougher or simpler, or didn't know any better. They felt fear, they felt grief, they felt everything we feel. Something about how their days were built kept their minds from staying stuck in alarm mode. Something we quietly got rid of, somewhere between the church bell and the smartphone notification. And once you see what it was, you won't be able to unsee it. Missing from your own life by the end of this, you'll know exactly what that something was, and you'll walk away with one specific thing. You can put back quick before I explain it. Was it their faith that protected them, or something more physical, built directly into their daily routine? Hold that guess, it matters more than you'd think. Picture a single day, not a special day. An ordinary one, repeat it for most of a person's life. A bell rings before sunrise, not an alarm you set, not something you can silence and roll over from. It rings whether you're ready or not, and everyone in earshot hears the same signal. At the same time you rise. You work the fields or the forge or the loom until midday, another bell. You stop not because you finished, but because it's time to stop. You eat with the same people. You work beside the same table most days of your life. In the evening, another bell calls you to prayer, whether you feel like praying or not. Now picture a monk's day instead. Stricter but built the same way. Prayer at fixed hours through the night and day. Work in between, silence at set times, speech at set times. Nothing about the monk's day was left to mood or motivation, the bell decided. Here's the part that's easy to miss. There was no version of either day where you sat with a decision hanging open. Should I keep working? Should I check one more thing? Should I squeeze in a little more before I stop? The bell decided, the season decided, the harvest decided, even the church calendar decided. With its feast days and fast days, stacked through the year like a rhythm section, under the melody of daily life. That sounds at first like a loss of freedom, but it was also the quiet removal of a decision your brain never had to carry alone. The decision of when enough is enough, and it turns out that decision costs your body more than almost anything else you do all day. Here's the piece. Most history books skip entirely, because it isn't really a history fact. It's a body fact. You have a built-in alarm system. So did that medieval farmer. So did that monk. It's ancient, it's automatic, and it's supposed to work in 2 clean steps. Switch on when something threatens you, switch back off once the threat has passed, on then off. That's the whole design. Stress is supposed to exist. It's what gets you out of the way of danger. What makes you finish the harvest before the storm hits? The problem is, what happens when the alarm never gets a clear signal that it's safe to switch off? When it just stays lightly triggered hour after hour, day after day without ever fully resetting. That low, constant hum, not a full alarm, just enough voltage to keep your system tense, is what burnout actually is at a physical level, not one big overwhelming event. An alarm stuck halfway on for months. So here's what that bell was actually doing. Underneath the religion and the routine, it gave the medieval brain a guarantee. Work will end, not might end. Will end at a specific known point. Rest will come. You don't have to negotiate with yourself about when to stop, and you don't have to wonder if stopping means falling behind, because everyone around you stops at the same signal. That's certainty, not comfort, not safety. Certainty is what let the alarm system fully switch off. Instead of idling in the background all day, we don't have a bell anymore. We have a phone that could ping at any second. An inbox with no closing time, a feed with no final page. There's no fixed off built into the day. You have to manufacture it yourself every single day, using nothing but willpower, which is exactly the kind of resource that runs out first when you're already stressed. The alarm never gets its guarantee. It just stays half-lit waiting, and if that single idea, just reframe the way you think about your own stress. That's exactly the kind of thing a like tells me to make more of, costs you nothing, and it puts this in front of someone else who's living the same half-lit day you are. So if it's really about certainty, not hardship, think about your own day right now. Not in general, but today. Is there a single hour where you know for certain nothing is going to interrupt you? Not probably certain. Drop your honest answer in the comments. I read everyone and I want to know if it's 0 for you. 2, because I suspect it's more common than any of us want to admit. The pattern widened once you know what to look for. This shows up everywhere in medieval life, not just in prayer times. Monks didn't just pray on a schedule, they worked on one too. Copying a single page of a manuscript, kneading a set amount of bread, spinning a fixed length of wool. One task done fully for a defined stretch of time, and then stopped, regardless of whether they felt like continuing. The day had edges built into its smallest tasks, not just its overall shape. Guilds worked the same way. An apprentice didn't decide for himself when he'd learned enough or how long a working day should be. The guild said it, the market day said it, the town bell said it, even market itself had edges. It opened, it closed, and outside of those hours, buying and selling simply didn't happen. There was no version of just checking if anything still open. Even rest wasn't left to chance or personal discipline. Feast days and fast days weren't just religious observance. They were forced pauses stamped into the calendar itself, arriving whether you personally felt like pausing or not. You didn't have to trust your own judgment about when you needed a break. The calendar had already decided for you. Months in advance now. Hold that up against a modern day. With no bell anywhere in it, work bleeds into evening because there's no signal telling you to stop. Evening bleeds into scrolling because there's no signal telling you that's over. Either scrolling bleeds into bed, and even sleep gets interrupted by the same device that never really turned off. Nothing forces the all clear. Nothing arrives from outside. You to say this part is finished. Now the alarm just idles, not for an afternoon, but for years quietly in the background of a life that looks from the outside far easier than a medieval one ever was. If your alarm system has been idling, instead of fully switching off, not for a bad week but for months, maybe longer, what do you think that's actually costing you, quietly in the background, where you can't easily see it? The lesson for today: here's the one thing worth carrying out of all of this. Certainty calms the body more than comfort does. That's the whole reversal. A medieval peasant had almost none of the comfort we take for granted. No central heating, no antibiotics, no guaranteed next meal, and almost all of the certainty we've quietly lost. We built the opposite kind of life. Enormous comfort and almost no certainty about when anything actually ends. You don't need a bell tower or a monastery to get some of that back. You need one fixed edge in your day that nothing is allowed to move. Not I'll try to stop by 9, but a real edge, a start time and end time, 1 hour that is genuinely, non-negotiably closed to work, to messages, to the feed, to everything else competing for it. That single guarantee held consistently does more for your stress than another hour of trying to relax ever will, because trying to relax, while the alarm is still half lit, doesn't actually turn it off. Only certainty does that. So back to that peasant, burying children, living through famine, working every daylight hour of his life. He wasn't calmer because his life was easier. He was calmer because his day had edges, and ours doesn't. Maybe the upgrade isn't a new app, it's a bell. And if you're going to build one edge into your own day, starting today, hit like so more people see this. Tell me in the comments exactly what that edge is going to be, and subscribe, because next time, we're going inside another mystery, history left hiding in your own brain.